What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for this week's ZOZO Championship. And yes, I'm coming to you from the future. I'm in Australia. For me, it's Tuesday morning. For you, it's Monday mid-morning-ish. So this is a preview being recorded in Australia to a mostly North American audience about a golf tournament in Japan. Isn't the internet amazing? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through this golf course. We're going to look at everything. We're going to get you ready to rock and roll for this week. It is a small field, 70-odd golfers with no cut, so you're not worried about that for this week. But before I jump into everything, I have to remind you, this starts on Wednesday night for you. Obviously, the time change makes it so the tournament starts earlier. So make sure you're not waiting till Thursday morning. You are getting your bets in, you're getting your lineups in. There is a decent chance because of the time change that our listener league on Splash will have an overlay, right? People love to wait till the last minute. So if you want to go in and get your spots now, make sure that you have access to any free money if it becomes available to you. But otherwise, the link is in the description. I'm showing that right now. We are fully guaranteed for 150 entries for this week. We filled it last week, which was great. Would love to continue to do that moving forward so that when we get to January and they start raising this up quite a bit when we get some decent guarantees. Okay, let's talk about the golf course this week. It is Narashino, Accordia Golf Narashino Country Club. Remember that this event now going on its 6th edition. Only 5 of them. Well, hold on. Let me step back. There have been 5 ZOZO Championships. 4 of them have been at this golf course. One was at Sherwood Country Club with a COVID year when they moved a lot of the stuff from the Asian swing to America, so to limit travel. So we're starting to get a lot of useful and interesting data. They haven't always had ShotLink here, so it is a little bit of a mixed bag. If you were to just show me this, which if you're not watching on YouTube, it is a overhead satellite image of the golf course. And I believe they actually have 2 golf courses here. So that's why you're seeing so many holes. The course is very, very tree lined everywhere, which you would on paper, you would think says, okay, that is going to reward accurate drivers of the ball. I'm going to flip around here a little bit. The course key stats page on my website, RickRunGood.com, which I run the regression model, what stats are correlated to success. Driving accuracy has been so low in terms of correlation. Now, you could say that's noisy. There's only been, 3 years prior to this of data that is available. You've got, only a 70 player field. You could argue the legitimacy of this data, but it is getting better every single year that we come here. But driving accuracy has been not correlated to success at all. Driving distance has been heavily correlated to success. In fact, there's only one other course on the PGA Tour schedule in which driving distance is more correlated to success than here at Narashino. The other thing to consider is that distance, though, has really accounted for a lot of the off the tee numbers. So strokes gained off the tee ranks 7th, which means there's only 6 other courses in which strokes gained off the tee is more correlated to success than here at Accordia Golf. And that is largely coming because of driving distance. Okay. The other thing is the second shot, approach play ranks very low in terms of the statistics, but the eye test of this golf course, the past winners would suggest different. I can't remember a time in which, looking at it from the satellite imagery, then comparing to the actual correlation model, have these been so different, right? None of this really passes the sniff test. So I'm just going to give you my opinion here. You have to be an incredible ball striker. Think about who has won this golf tournament. Tiger Woods, Patrick Cantlay won it at Sherwood. Then Hideki, Colin Morikawa. I mean, you were talking about some of the best ball strikers in the world. Long and straight off the tee. And then if you notice, each one of these greens, there are actually two greens, right? That is much more common in Japan, where you get basically a winter green and a summer green, where there are different strains of grass, and it allows for play all year round, while one of the other greens heal. So what that means is you get some very interesting bunkering around these greens. A lot of times you just get one bunker placed in the middle of both greens, right? That's their way to use one bunker all year round, but still defend both of those greens. Then, because there are two greens, they tend to skew a little bit smaller than PGA Tour average. Not much, 5,000, 4,500 square feet on average. And you do really need to be precise and strong on those second shots. So again, when I'm looking through this and I'm thinking back in my memory bank about what I've seen about this golf course, when I'm looking at guys who have had success, you got to be really good off the tee, strong driver. You've got to be a strong second shot player. And I don't think you need to really putt all that well. Now that is, like, you are obviously going to need to have to make some putts. But when I mean that, I'm thinking, okay, winning scores have been relatively high here, right, compared to other spots on the PGA Tour schedule. It's why you probably see the strokes gained around the green number be highly correlated to success, because you're talking about a golf course where oftentimes par is a good score. So the ability to get up and down for par becomes a lot more valuable than other courses on the PGA Tour schedule where 25 or 26 under might win the golf tournament. There is some water in play. We could argue about how much in play it is on some of these holes, but it's in play on a couple of holes. But again, I just think strong ball striking and bogey avoidance would be a really good place to start for this week. As much as I love the data for this week, use it, sparingly, at least in terms of the course key metrics. It's a fewer number of years. We haven't had all the shot link data. Again, I don't think it passes the sniff test in a lot of situations, but Patrick Fishburne, Chan Kim, Hideki Matsuyama, Min Woo Lee, and Bo Hostler do get the best adjusted fit here. That is when you take the data from above, you apply it to the last 35, 36, whatever rounds you want to do. If you want to do 24, or any number, quite honestly, that is available to you. But those guys are going to get the best adjusted fit. Okay, let's head over to the cheat sheet here, and I've got this way zoomed in. I'm on my laptop. I've tried to make this so that it's visible for you guys. So bear with me here, but we've got 4 golfers over $10,000, led by Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Hideki Matsuyama, and then Sahith Theegala, which to me seems like this should have been a tier of 3 golfers. I think there's a big 3 in Xander, Colin, and Hideki. Sahith, I could see if you have a golf course where distance and accuracy, distance matters, accuracy does not matter as much, that feels better for Sahith. But again, I mean, there's plenty of trees out there that you can't be super errant. They are still tree-lined holes. I worry a little bit about that. For me, Xander is in a class of his own. If you look at the power rankings, so this is the last 36 rounds, he's gaining 2.1 strokes gained per round. He is a half a shot better than anybody else in this field over the last 36. That is the same gap between he and Harry Hall as Harry Hall to Rico Hoey, who is the 10th best player in this field over that time frame. So you're talking about Xander really lapping the field here. The last time we saw him was at the President's Cup. He was awesome. He has not finished outside the top 15 in months, dating back to the Wells Fargo Championship. He is a well-rounded player who is going to be, even if you don't think the stats match up with the eye test or anything like that, Xander has a million ways to get it done. That's really the facts about this. His results around Accordia Golf, Narashino are mixed. Remember, these have always been small field events. So you're talking about 70, 78 golfers. He has a T10, a T28, a T9, and a T38. So 2 top 10s, that's great. Nothing better than 9th, but a couple of finishes outside the top 25 that you think would be a little bit better. He is certainly in the best form of himself now than he has ever been. So I grade Xander as a pretty clear number 1 here. The other 2 are interesting. Hideki and Collin Morikawa are 2 golfers that I've been very, very bullish on over the course of the last 6 months, and it's been paying off, right? Collin has put a tour championship shadow leaderboard win out there. His President's Cup performance was good enough. You're still seeing this unbelievably great tee to green play dating all the way back to the API. So we're going on 7 or 8 months of that. The putter, while still troublesome at times, is starting to be a weapon for Collin. He is your defending champion. He finished T7 here in 2021. Does have a T45 and a T22, but I think that we are getting, if we can get 2.5 strokes gained putting, if we can get 2 strokes putting, something like that, Collin is very, very live to win this. And then we've got Hideki, who there are a couple of not quite red flags, but let's start looking at this trend here. So he wins the FedEx St. Jude, which was the culmination of some really elite approach play and some improved putting. Then he WDs from the BMW Championship after 1 round. I am not super concerned about this. Remember that got delayed. He had to come out and finish. It was like a weird cool down period. He had to come back like 3 hours later, finish that round, and then he couldn't get a guess back up again. So I'm not worried about that. He had gained 5 strokes in the field. He was in like 2nd place when he withdrew. So I'm not worried about that at all. The thing that I'm more worried about is the 6.2 strokes that he has lost putting over the course of his last 2 starts. So it's the Tour Championship and it is the President's Cup in Royal Montreal. The other thing is he's losing a lot of strokes around the green in 3 of his last 4, which is very uncharacteristic for Hideki. He's got one of the best short games in the world. The other thing is the last 2 trips to Accordia have not been good. T40 and T51 after a win and a runner-up finish. So while these are not individually a lot of concerns, when you start adding up a bunch of little concerns, I'm now kind of getting a medium level of concern. So I think for me, it is probably Xander, Collin, Hideki. I think there's a gap between Xander and the other 2. I think that Collin and Hideki are pretty close. If there are ownership implications, if we see that for whatever reason, Collin is twice as owned as Hideki during the Wednesday live chat, then I'm happy to switch, but that's the way that I'm viewing it early on Monday. And then the last guy here, just to give him his due, probably not going to have a ton of Sahith here. I think the other 3 golfers are just better. I think they're better fits. We've got an approach situation brewing with Sahith where he's lost strokes in 5 of his last 7. He needs to putt really well. He needs to find probably a +4 approach week, which is something he does not do frequently. I just think there's a lot of paths. I often talk about how many paths there are to the top of the board. I think there are a lot of ways that things could go sideways for Sahith here. So he's probably just going to be the odd man out. The 9K range is really cool here, and we're starting to get some bigger names back in these fields, right? The FedEx Cup fall tends to lend itself to some subpar names, but we're starting to get some big boys back in action. I think Sungjae Im is worth a deep dive here. If you remember back to the start of 2024, it was really, really ugly for Sungjae. He just did not have his best stuff. Then he started to find it in the middle of the year, and he has, for the most part, continued that. The putter has cooled off, which is a little bit concerning. He was a 0 at the President's Cup. He was a small loser at the Tour Championship and a small loser at the BMW Championship. But this is what you want to see. You want to see, 2, 3, 4 strokes gained putting over the course of 4 rounds like he was doing prior to that. I like Sungjae because he is a well-rounded player like Xander Schauffele is. We need to understand, we might not know a lot about what's going to find success at this golf course just yet with the way that it's bounced around, with the, and really, I mean, this used to be an elite level field. It used to be like a WGC event where you get 78 of the top players in the world. Now this year you're getting, because it's a FedEx Cup fall event, you're getting the guys that are battling for 51 through 125, and you're also getting a handful of the big boys. So we have not really seen a field composition like this before. So I'm happy to not admit, but I'm happy to say, like, we might not know anything about the way that this golf course and this tournament is going to play out. So getting these well-rounded golfers who seem to be trending in the right direction feels like one of the better bets for this week. And then I want to look at Justin Thomas here, because JT really played much better in 2024. The bar was pretty low after his 2023 missed playoffs, but played a lot better in 2024. The win did not come. A lot of top 15s, a lot of top 10s, a lot of finishes outside the top 30. He's been one of the more volatile golfers that we've had, at least one of the higher end golfers that we've had, which is not always the worst thing in the world. He's capable of finishing inside the top 3 or 4. Yes, he might burn you. The putter, as much work as he has put in, continues to be the pain point. He's now lost 11 strokes putting in his last 12 rounds. The tee to green play is not a concern. If you look at his finishes around this golf course, it's one trip. T17 in 2019, you can probably throw that out the window. It was 5 years ago. That runner-up finish that he had at the ZOZO was at Sherwood, so that is not really anything to compare against. This would be, I'm probably a 4 out of 10 on Justin Thomas. If you're looking for kind of a higher end, volatile outcome, maybe he wins, maybe he finishes last, JT is that guy for you. I don't think he's going to be incredibly popular with Sungjae here, with Minwoo and Kurt Kitayama, even going down to Will Zalatoris, who I'm going to pull up in a second. But there's a lot of good options here. Siwoo is always, for me, probably one of the more overlooked golfers. You talk about great ball striking. He is capable of doing that. The putter is heated up in 3 out of his last 4. His around the green game is probably better than you think it is. And it has resulted in a run of a T5 at the BMW Championship, a T18 at the BMW PGA Championship. That's a European Tour event. And then he played all 5 rounds at the President's Cup, played well, gained strokes to the field, just like, had himself a very, very good week. Has not yet been able to figure out this golf course. No finish better than T18 in his 3 trips. Maybe I'm cooling on that. I thought that was going to be a little bit better than I thought. So JT, Siwoo, a little bit of a downer. I want to see if Kurt Kitayama has played here before. He has twice. Okay. So T29, T16. So he's gained strokes in both of those. We are one positive putting week away from Kurt Kitayama really being in contention and winning a golf tournament. So 3 out of his last 4 events, he has gained at least 11 strokes from tee to green. That is not a typo. Picked up 11 from tee to green at the 3M Open. Then he missed the cut at the Wyndham Championship, but he missed the cut on the number. He actually gained strokes to the field that week. Then he went back-to-back weeks in Utah and in Las Vegas, in which he gained 12 strokes each from tee to green. That is massive. He is not a very good putter. But oh man, he just needs like a +1 putting week would go a really long way for Kurt Kitayama. There is a lot of juice to squeeze out of there. And then while we're here, I mean, there's so many fun names we haven't talked about in quite some time. Let's look at Will Zalatoris. He limped to the finish line a little bit last summer. Yeah, you can see WD at Rocket Mortgage, miscut. Then he gets to FedEx St. Jude, plays well at a golf course he always plays well at. BMW Championship, a lot of good signs there, finishes T13. That's where his season ends. Does not get himself into the Tour Championship. He has played this event once. It was in 2021. He finished T54. So here's where I'm at in this range. I see a lot of places to improve for Kurt Kitayama. I think there's a chance that he finishes very well. Then it's probably for me Sungjae and Will Zalatoris with a flyer on JT if you wanted to go that route. Now, the 8K range is really fascinating, and I think this is where we have to address that this field gets weaker than other fields that we have seen here. The guys that we talked about, Xander Schauffele down to Will Zalatoris. I mean, they are stars. They're studs. Not to say that these guys aren't, but I think there is a drop-off here. These are the guys, these are the more familiar names of the FedEx Cup fall. Beau Hossler, Maverick McNeely, Doug Gim, etc. So when you start to see guys that, in the trends tool pop up in this 8K range, like Eric Cole, like Harry Hall, who are both playing a stroke over their 100 round baseline in the last 36. Max Grazerman is here. JJ Spawn is here. Seamus Power is here. We have to remember they've been beating up a little bit, at least the last 12 or 16 rounds, on some of the weaker competition. You're not going to get any objections from me if you want to run out any of those guys that I mentioned. You're clearly getting some guys who are playing great golf. Harry Hall, we've already talked about ad nauseum on this channel. He finished, again, T9 last week. He's finished T21 at this event. JJ Spawn's had a good run here, T25 and T6. Eric Cole finished runner-up here last year. Beau Hossler finished runner-up here last year and has back-to-back top 20. So again, any of these guys I think are fine. The one that I have, I guess two that we can deep dive here are Doug Gim and Max Homa. So Doug Gim is really putting together impressive tee to green numbers. And we talked about this last week because he's a Vegas guy and we knew that, going to both Utah and TPC Summerlin, that same desert style of golf course was probably going to be a good opportunity for him. And it was. Put together impressive numbers. He's up 19 strokes tee to green in his last 8 rounds. That's absurd. He picks up 2.8 strokes putting. I think there is a little bit of a concern here. He's not a good putter. I'm firmly on team no putt. So I play these guys constantly, but it is worth noting that it is more likely that Doug Gim gained 3 strokes putting in Vegas because he is very familiar with that golf course and plays it all the time, as opposed to he found something on the greens or found something in his putting stroke. If he does it again this week, if he picks up another 3, we can have that conversation that he's found something. I still think there are enough reasons to play Doug Gim, but I want to express caution that he's probably not going to gain another 3 strokes with the putter again. The opportunity to be early on Max Homa appears to be here. He misses the cut at the Pro Tour. That was his first start in the fall. The metrics that he had at the President's Cup were quite good. So we are looking at an opportunity. I mean, he gained 6 strokes on approach. He gained 7.5 from tee to green. He still didn't putt well. And that's wonky, right? It's match play. They don't finish all the holes, so it's alternate shot, but there's a case to be made that he is, in this field, when he's at his best, probably a top 8 player in this field for $8,200, and he's coming off of one of his best performances in a really long time. That's really just the case to be made. If you don't feel comfortable going with those two, like I said, Beau Hossler, JJ Spawn, Eric Cole, Harry Hall, these are all viable options. I'll have plenty of exposure to all of those guys. All right, here's the 7K range, and there really are plenty of interesting names here. Now, these are guys that we would not have seen in this event before. It is worth talking about Rickie Fowler. Complete, equipment change recently. He plays 2 events in the fall. Both of them look pretty good from a metric standpoint. He gained 6.5 strokes or 6 strokes total in both of them. At the Sanderson, he gained across the board. At TPC Summerlin, he really hit it well. Picked up 4 off the tee, another 3.2 on approach. This is the best golf we've seen from Rickie Fowler in quite some time. His record here, mixed bag. T44, T2, T64. Remember, he's gone through a lot of ebbs and flows in his career, just in line with that period. But we are, I think, at a point where you're a little bit more comfortable buying. It's only $7,600 for Rickie Fowler. Rico Hoey is the perfect example of guys that have kind of been crushing the fall, have kind of been crushing going back to the summer, even whether it's alternate field events or anything like that, that are now going to step into like a big boy event for the first time. And I know he played the US Open, he missed the cut. I'll even give him credit for what would have been the next best field that he played. The Wyndham Championship, something like that. He finished T22. But now you're getting a field with Xander and Colin and Hideki, and even down to like all those guys down to Will Zalatoris, right? And you've never played here before. I'll be interested to see. He drives it awesome. His approach numbers have been great. He's been incredibly well-rounded. Look at all the green on this board. It's just been against much weaker competition in America. Like, this is going to be a little bit of different. We're going to learn how quickly Rico can adjust and adapt this week. I'm fairly bullish. If you think distance matters, if you think distance and short game and a little bit of approach play, however you want to get there, Ryan Fox is that guy. Here's like the ad for RickRunGood.com, right? Is we've got all the PGA Tour, all the Korn Ferry, all the DP World Tour, all the Live, all the everything, right? So you can see after the Wyndham Championship, Foxy went to the Irish Open, he went to the BMW PGA Championship, picked up strokes on approach in both of those. That was a stretch of 4 in a row. Desert golf did not sit well for Fox. Lost 3.8 strokes on approach at the Black Desert Championship, lost another 2.5 at Shriners. Sometimes I think when you get a patch of results like this at a very specific, unique set of golf courses, and now you're leaving that, I tend to forgive rather quickly. Just absolutely mashes the ball off the tee. He can be good on the second shot. He's picked up strokes putting in 3 in a row. I think that is worth a click. Here's Nick Taylor. We're tracking Nick Taylor very closely, right? We are seeing the caliber of golf that we are going to get from him at the end of 2024 into 2025. Because again, I'll say it if you missed it on last week or whatever. At January 1st, 2024, Nick Taylor would have been probably a top 6 player in this field. Now he is $7,300. The fall from grace has been hard. There are enough signs that he's now gained strokes off the tee in 4 straight. He has now gained strokes on approach in like 9 out of 10. The putter, very problematic. Not going to lie about that. Very, very problematic. He played here last year. He finished T21. I'm still trying to be early on Nick Taylor as opposed to being late. And then here we go. There are, because of the, I don't think it's not a co-sanctioned event with the Japanese golf tour, but there are, and also Ryo Hisatsune, I believe he has his tour card, but you start to see some guys who are going to be from Japan, much more familiar with this course. Ryo has not played well. He's missed 4 out of his last 6 cuts. The putter has been good. Everything else has been kind of wonky, but look at this. We've got T52, T12, T6. Those are the last 3 years. The T6 is best finish. It was his most recent finish. If you're looking for somebody who's going to have a lot of good vibes, a lot of course knowledge, Hisatsune would be the one to look at. And I think that's really all for the 7K range here. I think that's it. I love Takumi Kanaya just in general. He's not playing as well as I would like. I think Victor Perez is the only guy who played on the European Tour last week is going to play this event. He finished 36 at the Andalusia Masters. Not that means anything, but he's got a bunch of just these 35th to 45th place finishes. Chan Kim was one of the guys who got one of the best adjusted course fits because of his skill set. So let's look at the 6K range here. See what we can find. CT Pan coming off a pretty decent start at Shriners. Here's Shugo Imahara. Let's pull up his profile and see what we can find. I don't have all of his stuff because I think he's playing a little bit on the Japanese tour, playing a little bit on the Asian tour. I only have his most recent start from April, which was a DP World Tour event. No. Okay, 78th and 68th here the last 2 years. No, we don't need to get involved in Shugo Imahara. Really big drop off here. And this is where you see a lot of those Japanese tour players. Satoshi Kodaira, remember him? Hiroshi Iwata, Ryo Ishikawa. I don't know if any of these guys are super playable. You see the data that I have on them, wherever they're at. Satoshi's on the Corn Ferry Tour right now, or was last year. These are not great results coming in. I think this is your opportunity to lean on some of the PGA Tour guys, which admittedly they're not playing great either, but should be able to separate themselves from some of the other guys here at the bottom. I want to look at Ben Coles and I want to look at CT Pan. I know CT Pan had a decent finish last week, T23. I wanted to see how he did it. Pretty good, actually. Yeah. Small positive off the tee, small positive on approach. Very good short game. He's now picked up strokes tee to green in 3 out of 5. This is not the worst thing in the world. I wouldn't feel very comfortable with it. Maybe we just go with trusty Ben Coles, who was miserable on and around the greens at the Shriners, which, listen, it can get you. And he lost 6.5 strokes putting, which he's probably not going to do again. That's one of his worst putting performances of his career. You get 4 guaranteed rounds out of him. God, the 6K range is really bad, isn't it? I don't know if we can avoid it, though. Let's look at Lee Hodges one time. He's played decently well here. He's got back-to-back top 25s. Yeah, maybe oh man, he can't putt either. But he's picked up a lot of strokes on approach in his last 12 rounds. The putter is horrible. The 6K range is very bad. Let's just sort this by strokes gained total last 36. Yeah. Chandler Phillips. Let's look and see what Chandler Phillips has been up to here. $6,700. Wow, he's missed 2 cuts in a row. Had some decent finishes before that. Drives it well. Yikes. There is not anything I'd be super comfortable with here. Can we avoid this range? I don't know if it's possible. If it's not possible, it's probably just Ben Coles, Justin Lauer, and that is about maybe. I mean, I'm a sucker for Nico Echeverria, but I don't know if that's actually a good play. But that's probably. Let's see if the model can find us anything different. So we do need to enter some weighted stuff here, obviously, because we're getting golfers who are from all different tours. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to put 20 on Accordia Golf Narashino strokes gained. So that's 45 there. Then what do we believe? Do we believe the model or do we believe the eye test? Do we believe our lion eyes or do we believe the data? Let's go with a little bit of both. Let's do 20 on distance, 15 on approach. I'm sorry. 20 on distance, 10 on accuracy. It's early here. Bear with me. Approach play. Let's do strokes gained approach. Last 24 for 15. And then I think I do want to put either bogey avoidance. Yeah, let's do bogey avoidance. We don't get to do that a lot. Bogey avoidance. Okay. My number one golfer, yeah, no surprise, Xander Schauffele. Colin is 2. Maybe a little bit of a surprise to see Justin Thomas is 3rd. Right before Hideki Matsuyama. Really only struggles in driving accuracy based on that model. The rest of the stuff he's been very, very good at. Hideki 4, there it is. Kurt Kitayama 5th. I'm telling you, he is going to be a stat darling this week. When you gain 12, 12, and 11 strokes tee to green in your last 5 starts, you're gonna be a stat model. Bo Hostler, Sung J M, Sahith, JJ Spawn, Doug Gim. Interesting. Andrew Putnam is 12th. Let's pull up Andrew Putnam's profile real quick. Then I'll get you out of here. But real quick, I got to look at this Andrew Putnam profile. Wow. Yeah, okay. So his fall's been very good. Picked up 2.6 strokes on approach at the Procore, the Napa event, T44 there. 6 at the Alfred Dunhill Links. That's only over 2 measured rounds. That's very good. He finished T25 there. And then another 2.7 at Shriners. Wow. Okay, pretty good. Has he played here before? Yeah, he finished T2 2 years ago. Ooh, okay. I'm going to have to favorite Andrew Putnam. All right. Okay, well, we can discuss this more in the week, later in the week. Keep an eye out. The Wednesday live chat, the time might change because obviously we actually just got a note that was like, oh, our flight was canceled and postponed. So like things are happening around here, but we'll do our best, and I'll tweet it out or, make the room the correct time. But other than that, all the information you need is in the link in the description. I don't have anything else to say. I'm wishing you guys the best of luck. I'll talk to you soon.